Have you ever walked into a place you've seen your entire life, only to discover no one else remembers it ever existed? Imagine needing one simple thing: a bottle of water, a midnight snack. You walk to the convenience store at the end of your street. The lights are on. The cashier smiles. The shelves are full. Customers quietly shop like any ordinary night. But when you return the next morning, there's no building, no parking lot, no sign, just an empty field. Tonight's story isn't about ghosts inside a convenience store. It's about a convenience store that shouldn't exist at all. And if you ever see it, don't go inside. Everyone in Maple Street agreed on one thing. It was the quietest neighborhood in town. Children played outside until sunset. Neighbors knew each other's names. Dogs barked at passing bicycles. Nothing unusual ever happened. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. 26-year-old Daniel had lived there for almost 8 years. His life was painfully ordinary. Wake up, go to work, come home, watch television, sleep, repeat. His small apartment overlooked the very end of Maple Street. Beyond the final row of houses stood an empty lot filled with waist-high grass. People often joked that someday someone would build another apartment there. Until then, it remained abandoned. At least, during the daytime. One Thursday night, Daniel couldn't sleep. His stomach growled loudly. He checked the kitchen. No instant noodles, no bread, no bottled water, only expired ketchup. He sighed. His phone read, 2:13 a.m. The nearest convenience store was nearly 20 minutes away by car. Too far, too late. Then he noticed something outside his bedroom window, a bright white glow at the end of Maple Street. Daniel frowned. There, standing exactly where the empty lot should have been, was a convenience store. Bright, modern, perfectly clean. Its familiar red, blue, and green sign buzzed softly in the darkness. He blinked several times. Has that always been there? He couldn't remember. Maybe construction had happened while he was busy working. Maybe it had just opened. Strange. He hadn't heard any announcements. Still, a 20-second walk sounded much better than a 20-minute drive. He grabbed his wallet, locked his apartment, and walked outside. The street was unnaturally silent. No crickets, no barking dogs. Even the wind seemed absent. The convenience store looked welcoming. Automatic doors slid open before Daniel even reached them. A pleasant chime echoed, "Welcome." The air inside felt unusually cold. Not air-conditioned cold, winter cold. The kind that settled inside your bones. Everything looked normal. Fresh sandwiches, magazines, coffee machines, candy bars, shelves packed with snacks. The cashier stood perfectly still. A young woman wearing a spotless uniform. She smiled, but she never blinked. "Good evening." Her voice sounded strangely distant. "As always," Daniel hesitated. "As always, I think you've mistaken me." Her smile never changed. "No, we never make mistakes." Something about those words made his stomach tighten. He grabbed bottled water, instant noodles, a chocolate bar. As he walked through the aisles, he noticed something odd. The customers. Nobody spoke. Nobody looked around. Everyone moved slowly, almost mechanically. A businessman stared endlessly at a refrigerator. An elderly woman held the same loaf of bread without moving. A teenage boy pushed an empty basket over and over in circles. None of them blinked, not once. Daniel hurried toward the cashier. She scanned each item without touching them. The register beeped by itself. That will be $9.13. Daniel reached into his wallet. His cash was gone. Instead, inside every slot were faded black and white photographs. Each photo showed strangers standing outside the same convenience store, looking directly into the camera, expressionless. "What is this?" The cashier smiled wider. "You've brought the correct payment." His heart stopped. "What?" She gently pushed the photographs back toward him. "You'll understand soon." Daniel threw a $20 bill onto the counter. "I'll just use cash." She looked down, confused. Cash? He looked again. The $20 bill had become a funeral memorial card featuring an old man's face. On the back, a funeral date. Daniel stumbled backward. The automatic doors suddenly refused to open. The cheerful welcome music stopped. Silence. Then, every customer turned at exactly the same moment. Their necks moved first, then their shoulders, then their bodies. Slowly, painfully. Every pair of lifeless eyes focused on Daniel. Nobody blinked. Nobody breathed. The businessman whispered, "You can see us." The elderly woman smiled. "You came willingly." The teenage boy laughed. "You stayed too long." The lights flickered. For one terrifying second, everyone disappeared. Then they returned, much closer. Daniel ran. The aisles stretched impossibly long. The exit kept moving farther away. Every freezer door opened by itself. Cold air rushed through the store. Whispers surrounded him. "You visited before. You just forgot. You always forget." Daniel reached the emergency exit, locked. He grabbed a fire extinguisher, smashed the glass. Nothing happened. The window sounded like solid steel. Footsteps echoed behind him. Soft, slow, patient. He turned. The cashier stood only inches away, still smiling, still without blinking. She held a receipt. "Would you like your receipt?" Daniel screamed. She handed it to him. Against every instinct, he looked. The receipt wasn't a receipt. It was a death certificate. Name, Daniel Reyes. Date of death, tomorrow. Cause, entered willingly. His blood froze. "No, this isn't real." The cashier leaned closer. "It will be, if you stay until closing." Daniel looked around. Above the entrance, a digital clock glowed. 2:59 a.m. Below it, another sign. Store closes 3 a.m. Only 1 minute remained. The customers slowly surrounded him. Their smiles widened. Their skin began turning gray. Eyes sank deeper. Bones cracked beneath pale flesh. The store itself changed. Bright shelves rotted. Fresh food decayed instantly. The clean white tiles became stained with dark water. The smell of mold filled the air. The ceiling dripped black liquid. The convenience store was rotting around him, revealing its true form. Daniel sprinted toward the entrance. The cashier blocked the way. "We're almost closed." Her voice no longer sounded human. It came from dozens of mouths at once. "You belong with us." The clock changed. 2 hours, 59 minutes, and 50 seconds. 51. 52. Daniel remembered something. His grandmother. Years ago, she once warned him, "If a place appears overnight, never enter. Places can hunger too." Daniel reached into his pocket. His grandmother had always insisted he carry a tiny wooden cross, mostly out of respect. He had forgotten it was there. He held it tightly. The cashier's smile vanished. For the first time, she stepped backward. The customer screamed, not in pain, but she never blinked. "Good evening." Her voice sounded strangely distant. "As always," Daniel hesitated. "As always, I think you've mistaken me." Her smile never changed. "No, we never make mistakes." Something about those words made his stomach tighten. Daniel looked back. The building was gone. Completely. Only the empty grassy lot remained. No parking spaces. No sign. No road leading to it. Nothing. As though it had never existed. He collapsed in the middle of the street until sunrise. Police found him hours later. They assumed exhaustion. Maybe sleepwalking. Maybe stress. Nobody believed his story. Not even his closest friends. There had never been a convenience store there. Records proved it. Satellite images showed nothing. Construction permits, nothing. Old maps, nothing. The empty lot had remained untouched for over 50 years. Daniel tried to move away. He quit his job, sold everything, started over in another city. He never walked outside after midnight again. Life slowly returned to normal, or so he thought. Exactly 1 year later, business brought him back to Maple Street. Against his better judgment, he drove through the neighborhood. Everything looked the same. Children laughed. Dogs barked. Neighbors waved. The empty lot remained empty. Daniel smiled nervously. Maybe it really had been a nightmare. Then his phone buzzed. A notification. Unknown number. One unread message. It contained only a single photograph, a security camera image. Taken inside the convenience store, standing in aisle 3, was Daniel, holding bottled water, looking directly into the camera, smiling. Behind the image, a timestamp. Tonight, 2:13 a.m. His phone rang immediately. Unknown caller. With shaking hands, he answered. The familiar voice whispered softly, "Good evening." As always, the call disconnected. Daniel slowly looked into his rearview mirror. Sitting silently in the back seat, still smiling, still never blinking, was the cashier. If this story made you think twice about late-night convenience store visits, leave a comment below. And remember, some places don't appear on maps. They appear when they're looking for someone. Sleep well. We'll see you in the next nightmare.